Where else does the ICT show up in math or physics?
The Poincaré sphere, or thinking about the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, i.e., that I can't perfectly know position and momentum at the same time. It shows up in things like the Fourier transform, that I can't perfectly localize a spike in the time domain and a spike in the frequency domain at the same time. It's inherently not the case. Fuzziness in one can be precision in the other, and vice versa, where I can have fuzziness and fuzziness, but I can't have precision and precision at the same time. And by the way, perfect fuzziness isn't possible in both cases either. So in this sense, there's an underlying recognition that the incommensuration theorem is actually pointing to something about the nature of the real, about the nature of choice, change, and causation, about the direct meanings of these terms, about the meaning of what it means to be objective and subjective. Notice that we have actually made some very specific claims. We said, wait a minute, it is the case that the objective is understood in terms of symmetry and discontinuity. It must seem to be the case that particle physics is a good way to describe the universe. Right? Particles is a perfected discontinuity. And symmetry basically is talking about that every electron is just like every other electron. In fact, it could be one electron zinging back and forth in time, and we wouldn't be able to tell the difference if there was one or many. Or just the idea that every particle is indistinguishable is a symmetry concept. And so in effect, there's a notion here that we have just characterized the third person, the omniscient, the objective, as being described by symmetry and discontinuity and causation. And similarly, we've just described that it cannot not be the case that the first person, or in this sense, the subjective, is described by continuity and asymmetry. And that this is built in just as deeply into the nature of the subjective as symmetry is built into the objective. So we've just grounded an entire field of study. It's no longer woo. So in that particular sense, I'm probably the first person to have been able to make a claim like that ever. In fact, I'm almost certain of it. There's no record of anything even remotely like this in any history book or any religion or any mystic tradition of whatever tradition that I have ever encountered. We have gone beyond the perennial philosophy in a way that is off the map. We're in terra incognita. So in this sense, there's a epistemic connection. We've arrived at this unexpected place, but it corresponds to the deepest things that we know. It corresponds to the very nature of knowing itself, the very foundations of the epistemic method, and therefore is actually a description of the relationship between the known, the unknown, and the unknowable.